Greetings and salutation, coasters. Guess what? I'm back. It's been a while. I've been out of town, dog sitting, house sitting, and let's be honest, there really hasn't been much Sonic stuff. Uh, I know I said I was going to do an IDW recap for the Sage Bell arc, but it really wasn't worth talking about other than, selling Sage and Bell are now kind of friends. But regardless, there is stuff to talk about because starting today, well, this is about 2 weeks since it's published. DCxSonic 2 Metal Legion, or DCxSonic Metal Legion, DCxSonic 2, DCxSonic 2 Legion Boogaloo, whatever you want to call it. It's here. We're here to talk about it. And with me is my fellow Capes and Crusaders and Power Girl enthusiast, Chauvel.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Oh, we're happy to be back. It's fun to talk with someone who can understand. Shouldn't say that. It's nice to have someone who can get this stuff. It was. Let me do a little shadow plug. Radri and I did a interview with Nick Marino and for the upcoming Sonic X Godzilla crossover, which we will be
hmm
going into copious amounts of details in future podcasts. But Nick is a big comic nerd, and he and I, we got into some really interesting conversations about how Grant Morrison's X-Men run and influenced his writing of the Sonic X Godzilla, and how I saw Eggman as more like a kind of, you could write him like the Joker, and various, either can be more menacing, more humorous. He thought Eggman was more like Thanos during Infinity War. So we got into the deep comic book
Hmm.
weeds, and it was really fun. Give him a listen. He's a really cool guy, and he's done some small stuff, but this, he's getting a lot of press for this crossover upcoming one. But we're not here to talk about Godzilla, even though Godzilla just finished his second run with the Justice League. And, he's getting around, but Sonic's starting to get around for his second run with the Justice League. So, before we kind of talk about this issue, let me give you all a brief recap of what happened last time. To summarize it, Darkseid attacked Sonic's world. The Justice League followed him to help the two sides meet. They stop him. Wibbly wobbly, timely dimension shenanigans happened. The Justice League gets stranded on Sonic's world. Sonic's and company go to the DC world. They have an issue where they get to play the DC heroes. The Justice League have a issue of them dealing with Darkseid's forces on Sonic's world, because really, outside of Eggman and the Deadly Six, they really don't have any reoccurring villains. And that's something
Yeah.
we'll be mentioning later on in this pod. Um, and then they got everyone back. Sonic, and they fought Darkseid, and Sonic went supersonic and beat up Darkseid single handedly. So power scalers, you know in tears, supersonic scales to Darkseid and beyond. So that story ended with basically everything kind of rewriting itself, and everything was hunky dory. But it ended of the promise of a sequel where we see Eggman and Lex kind of chit chatting and saying that men of vision should not let the heroes and the decide the fates of the universe. So they're gonna team up and be pals now, and that's what
Yeah,
this story is
besties.
about.
Countdown to betrayal starting.
Exactly. Starting now. Um, we both liked it. You can, I'll put a link at the end of the video to our discussion, because we had about a good hour talking about,
Yeah.
and then we also had Radri on the first one where we talked about the first one, but he's been really busy with his stuff, hasn't been a chance to read comics, so sadly he couldn't join us this time. But we're here. So let's get into issue one of Sonic Hedgehog DC, or DCxSonic Metal Legion. Um, this is a very quick read. It is kind of a everyone reunites and then you get a little plot at the end. I enjoyed it. I think most people are here just for the DCxSonic interactions, which we get a plethora of them, though they probably needed a little bit more plot. But it was a good issue one, especially once you're in number two of these IP crossovers, you get to kind of dive right into the fun stuff. So
Yeah, like the no build up necessary. They're just there.
you know the dynamics are already laid out from the first series. Now we can
Hmm.
expand upon them or and create new dynamics. So we're kind of going to go this scene by scene because again, this is a very quick read. Page one
Yeah.
is pretty much narration that the worlds of the Justice League and Sonic have been linked with these new ring portals, kind of a la Crossworlds, that just so happen to say Lex Egg on them. Wink, wink, subtle. You actually see.
I, I I'm just I'll let you finish the recap, but I'm just surprised like, hey, what's going on? And it's like, you think these portals are safe? I don't know, Sonic, they have Lexig on them. I don't know. There's a lot of red flags here. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people bring up the red flags. But the issue opens up. You see some cars going through the portal. You see the avatar, the main three avatar characters from Sonic Forces, walk through Metropolis by Jimmy Olsen in the Daily Planet. Uh, we actually see, I guess, believe it or not, the wolf with the glasses, though he doesn't have his glasses in this one. I guess
Hmm.
officially his name is Gadget now because he got added to Sonic Party Rumble, and though his character says Avatar, in parentheses it says Gadget. And I always thought that was just a fan name, but apparently,
I think it was. I think okay. There's just two possibilities that they eventually, without saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they took it from the fandom and named him Gadget, or his name was always Gadget, and we just guessed correctly.
exactly. Well, maybe he's out looking to, get something nice for Lanolin because that's a big fan ship is Gadget and Lanolin.
Yeah.
You know, this time, wolf and sheep, they always go well together. But also in the opening page narration, we see in kind of a interesting case of what you would think was just IDW originals, but you also forget they are owned by Sega. We see Clutch, Rough, and Tumble seemingly get into an arms deal with members of Inner Gang, which is kind of would be interesting to see if that pops up later down. And then of
Hmm.
course we see, Big the cat fishing and seems to and he seems to hooked Aquaman, who just so happens to have Froggy on his shoulder. So, setting up some potential dynamic for those two. But then we get 2 pages of Sonic the Hedgehog reuniting with the Flash as they run from Empire City to Central City, talking about the portals, how they popped up overnight, and, how the Justice League looked into it, and it seems to be no issue. But they decided they're going to go off and get some food at Big Belly Burger. So,
Right.
yeah, that was Flash and
That
Sonic. Short,
that was
sweet,
their segment that lasted a page and a half,
2 pages. And,
probably 2 pages.
and Sonic's not in the rest of the issue.
No, which surprises me. I'm gonna be honest, because um, it's not like they snubbed him or the Flash. I'm just surprised that the title character, Sonic, and of course Superman are not in it as much as I thought they would be.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like Sonic is the titular character of the franchise. He's got to be
Yeah,
there. But let's be real, the Flash is like number 5 or 6 in
yeah.
DC.
I wouldn't say six. He kind of got up there thanks to the movies and stuff, as bad as they were, but he's more recognizable now, or more of a namestay. But the big three will always be Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman.
Yeah, you got
And
the
for Sonic, it'll always be, well, I guess you can just take Knuckles out and put Shadow where he used to be. But
but like even then it's like I mean, I know Flash has a lot of fans. I mean, you got Barry, Wally, but like his rogues gallery is essentially Reverse Flash, a couple other, evil
You could just
speedster.
stop right there, and because that's all anyone's gonna remember is
I mean,
Reverse
I mean,
Flash.
if you watch the CW stuff, you had what's
If
his
you do watch the CW, you know a lot more. But I'm just speaking for, let's
the
say,
general
the
audience.
casual fan. Yeah,
Yeah, like the casual fan, if you were casual and you watched the CW stuff, Captain Cold and like Heat
yeah,
Zone.
Captain Cole.
Like if you watched the Harley Quinn cartoon and the Kite Man spinoff, you met Golden Glider, which is Captain Cold's sister.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of fun, but it's like, do we really care about the Weather Wizard and the Mirror Master?
Not as much. It's funny because I see those guys as really untapped potential. If you get someone who's just creative enough, I think they could make a really interesting Flash
They feel more
enemy
like
besides the
Teen
CW
Titans
show.
villains, to be honest. But that's me.
They, I feel like they can be like more for Teen Titans, but at the same time, I think they can do something really clever with Flash's his rogue gallery, and but I feel like lately, not like
Yeah.
ever, but lately, I don't feel like there's a lot of creative juices flowing into that
And
story and
then
making them more recognizable.
and then we have
They had a chance
Trickster,
with the movies, but instead it just turned that into a Batman film, kind of.
pretty much. And like Trickster is basically Mark Hamill's test to be the Joker. That's like all the
Yeah,
Trickster's
that's
known
pretty
for.
much it. And they could even have fun with that kind of idea, like a diet Joker or
Did you ever
Timu
watch the
Joker.
like the Justice League like action cartoon? That's basically Mark Hamill voicing himself.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that
I
was
saw
fun.
that one. That was really fun.
It's like, Mark, we need 5 minutes of you talking to yourself. He's like, all right,
All right, I can do that.
all right, but
Sign the check.
sign the check, cash check. Next time, as in next segment, we jump to Themyscira, where Diana leads a cadre of Amazons, and I actually kind of dig the designs of her Amazon crew.
Yeah,
They
I
all
really
have
do.
kind of
Is
the
there a is the I could be wrong because I haven't been reading a lot of Wonder Woman comics recently, but is that like a tribute to Absolute Wonder Woman with the sword and everything
see
in the
that
back?
was my thought because it's like that looks like kind of a hey, it's absolute Wonder Woman but not, and then kind of like you have the Archer, who I think maybe like an homage to Artemis, though Artemis has switched over
Yeah.
to an axe now. But then again, you
Yeah.
got like maybe but it's nice, and it's all kind of, this is like the
Yeah.
first time I've seen the Amazons rocking like the red, gold, and blue stars that Diana
Yeah.
wears. So it's kind of like that's a neat little you know uniform. And of course, Hades is attacking because DC can't do right by the only one chill Greek god.
Yeah, it's not like there's others. Only Hades exists, apparently.
Yeah, you could have used Ares. Apollo's always been kind of a dick in
Hell,
DC.
you can make Aphrodite sadistically evil by forcing people to always fall in love. It's great. You can do a great concept with the Greek gods and just make them all villains for Diana, but it's neither here or there.
No. But she's got some great. She tries to attack him with the sword of this transgression will not go unpunished, and then Hades says like the Olympians, they forget things in 100 years. If you're an immortal god, what is 100 years really? So,
Yeah.
but Diana mentions that the hammer of justice will fall down upon him, and here she comes now, and out of the sun, hammer raised and Wonder Whip unleashed, comes Amy Rose, who dives into Diana's arms, saying, "I've missed you." And Diana's happy that apparently the Amazons made Amy her Wonder Woman fit, and she kept it.
Yeah.
And when she saw that since their worlds were linked, she'd put it back on and come out and visit. But then she didn't expect Hades. So that implies that maybe during that original series, Amy and Hades threw down, which is just one of those things where it's like,
Yeah.
I would have loved to seen that.
Me too. It's like there's a lot of like little things mentioned in dialogue and interactions. Like Man, that would have been cool to see, or that would have been really neat to see more of that. But limit. It's also going to be like 5 issues, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And that's
damn.
kind of one of the big things where like Ian did a interview about this, I forget the podcast, where he talked about how reality is like these both of these miniseries could have been individual miniseries of just Sonic character and DC character. And
Yeah.
while maybe a Green Lantern Silver miniseries might not have sold, you could probably done a one shot.
Yeah, I think there would have been like excellent one-shot books.
Yeah. And that's
Like,
one
I'm
thing,
not asking for a whole series. I'm asking for like more pages, you know?
and I think DC should have took a page out of Marvel's book because, Marvel's in the midst of its crossovers with Godzilla. You know, they're in the middle of Godzilla Infinity Roar. I think there's one issue left, but then they're going to do Godzilla Conquers the Multiverse. And then before Infinity War, they did Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. But even before that, they did 6 one-shots of Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four, Godzilla versus Hulk, Godzilla versus Spider-Man, X-Men, Avengers, Thor, where you could have those fun one-on-one, one-shot stories to go deep into the dynamic of the two characters, which is something that I think DC and Sonic Sega should have done maybe before they leapt into the massive ones. But maybe that's something they got planned for like year 3. Who knows?
Hmm.
But back to the issue. Diana tells the other Amazons that their sister has returned, and now that their strength is 100-fold to drive back the zombies back to the underworld. So it was a fun couple pages.
Yeah, fun couple of, it's not just like a lot of, we're gonna say that, a lot of funny couple of pages.
Again, I just love like the dynamic that like you know Amy is Diana's like life-size plushie. She's always like jumping into her arms because
Oh
Amy
yeah,
is
it's
literally like
adorable.
even with
Oh,
the
we're gonna get
heels.
to more of that too
Yeah,
in a
we're about to get that
page
in
or
about
two
two
from now.
minutes, but like considering that she's literally probably 1/3 to maybe half the size of Diana, it's
Exactly. I'll never forget that the issue before, the series before, where Diana's riding in Amy's car. She's so big.
yeah, she's in the back seat, and it's just she's too big to sit down, so she's got to sit on like the hood, the back, the trunk, and just kind of like
Hmm.
again, it's really great, and again, it's super cute, and we're gonna be saying that a lot, but yeah, that they have a good dynamic. But
Yeah,
then
they do.
we switch over to Knuckles and Superman. They, they arrive at Floral Forest, Clark landing in almost a JoJo esque pose. As
Oh,
opposed to.
you noticed.
Oh, yeah. I'm well versed in anime. I know a JoJo pose when I see one. We find out that, Superman has asked Knuckles to introduce him to the Rabbit family. Now, Clark is just trying to get Knuckles off the island, try to get him to interact with more people. It's Clark being Clark. He sees
Yeah.
a lot of himself in Knuckles and, wants, Knuckles to enjoy life. So, they knock on the door and Cream and Cheese say, "Hello, Mr. Sonic," or "Hello, Mr. Knuckles, Mr. Superman." And he's like, "So happy to see you again." Knuckles like, "Wait a minute, you already know each other?" And then Cream reveals that, I guess off panel in the first series, that Clark was helping the Chow in the Chow Garden. So, is there a Super
Yeah.
Chow?
It makes me wonder, don't you? Like, you can tell Clark was probably spending a lot of his time there just raising chows.
I mean, if you think about it,
It's addictive.
his zoo in the Fortress of Solitude
That's
is
right.
basically
That's a
a
nice
Chow Garden.
connection.
He could have a Chow Garden in the Fortress of Solitude. That's
So you got a Kryptonian chow somewhere.
exactly. So he says hello, and Knuckles feels tricked. He's like, "You need to get out more," he says. But Clark wants to introduce Cream to his cousin and his dog. So in a nice little form of corporate synergy, because Supergirl is coming out in the next month or two.
Uh, June,
June. So
actually.
next month. So
Mhm.
month, give or take a week. And enter Kara and Crypto. Cream gives a little curtsy and says, "Welcome, Miss Supergirl. Welcome to our planet." And Cheese gives them a friendly chow chow. And Kara just cannot contain herself and just, essentially is, "I have known Cream for 30 seconds, but if anything should happen to her, I will murder everyone on this planet and myself." She just hugs her and calls her the
She
cutest
will
little
push
girl.
this planet into the sun if anything happens to Cream.
Yes. Everyone will know my despair. So she then tells Clark, or she calls him Cal, that she's done with Earth. She's moving to Sonic's world to hang out with Cream. And Knuckles is
They're
like, "Why
adorable.
am
I
I
don't
even
even blame her.
here?" It's like, might as well eat. And yeah, there's always that one interaction that always seems to break the internet, and this is definitely
Oh yeah, it's definitely up there.
this is like right on par with Diana holding up Amy like a plushie, and this is Kara, uh, you know hugging Cream and Cheese and them loving it. It's all very cute. Though I do want to mention props to Adam Bryce Thomas, who once again is on art.
Oh, I wanted to say that since the start, like killing it as usual.
Killing it. I saw some
Guy's a
reviews
beast.
thought like his Superman and Wonder Woman looked a little off, but I'm like, well, poo on them. Art is subjective. The art is great.
Yeah, they're subjective. Like it's very much such like Diana in the one panel, and of course we mentioned the JoJo post. It's very anime inspired.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
like it's still Western comics, and I think Adam is either fighting the urge between the two, or he's just trying to go for a balance between Western but mostly anime influenced, to make it look not too jarring
Yeah.
from the Sonic characters. I think having Diana and Clark look a little bit more animated is actually the best way to go for this.
It blends a little bit more with the Sonic characters for sure.
Yeah.
But can we talk about Kara's thighs, because
Oh my gosh.
I think
I
that's
see. I know.
definitely
I
where
just
she stores her solar energy.
oh, like Adam Bryce Thomas knew the understood the assignment. Her thighs are just noticeably thick. And I'm not just being my usual self. I was like, you just can't look at that and not notice.
Well, especially with how the picture is like, you know, aligned. It's almost a very tokusatsu where, you're always
Hmm.
looking up to, the illusion of size. So,
Yeah.
that, tastefully, the skirt is placed, but it's
It's
like,
tastefully, it's tasteful. He didn't go like beyond like what's appropriate. Surprise, I also want to mention, I think on the cover, if I remember correctly, because I don't have the book in front of me, but the cover had like for ages 13 and up, like T. I could be wrong. I gotta look on the see what the digital
yeah, it's 13
release
plus. It
says,
says, 13 plus
which
teen. So
surprised me
that's
because
interesting.
I was like, you could knock it down to like 10. It's fine.
Yeah, this is,
I
it's
don't
still
think
pretty tame.
Kara's thighs or knock it up a couple of ratings.
I do thought it was interesting because, like, several of the new Sonic DC mashup characters got leaked in toys
Hmm.
beforehand. So, but Cream and Cheese as Supergirl and Crypto, that was everyone kind of found that out when they showed them on the cover. So that I'm
Hmm.
like that was kind of an interesting and kind of, because again, Knuckles and Cream don't really have much interactions that I can recall.
No,
So that'd be
nothing I
interesting.
can remember.
Yeah, so that would be an interesting to see if they can, have them interact. Though this now begs the question: if Cream is Kara, does this make Vanilla Power Girl?
That would be amazing. I guess we're gonna find that out in part three of Justice League and
Well,
Sonic.
we might find later on. It depends, because there are some further surprises in this that they did not, tease or hint at.
If they do the boob window in Vanilla, I am going to shriek in joy.
I was gonna say that would be a level of basedom that DC and Sega can take. But moving on, we jump up to the Watchtower where Silver is chatting with Cyborg. Um, he makes an interesting comment that the Watchtower tech makes him feel more like his future. Because they really don't go into Silver's future a whole lot. So that's always kind of one of
Yeah,
those
not
little.
much. So you don't, it's like a balance between futuristic and dystopian.
Mm-hmm. Depending on, why he's back. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Always in motion, the future is, to quote a favorite swamp Muppet of ours. But he runs into John Stewart. He calls him Mr. Stewart, though, John says, call
Hmm.
me John, though I guess 1 o'clock. He should say, calling him Green Lantern, which then he says, well, if you're here, you're going to be needing one of these. So he has a spare ring to give to Silver, who suits up. And then
Yep.
another of the Green Lanterns there is my personal favorite lantern, Green Guy, or Guy Gardner.
Great guy.
Green Guy, I mean, technically he's a guy and he's in green. But he says,
Yeah.
oh, I guess we're just giving these away now. And he says, welcome back, Pawn Frond. And Silver's like, hello, Guy.
Everyone loves Guy, but
Everyone
everyone
loves.
loves him. Like everyone wants to kill him.
Well, it's funny because, Guy is an ass. That's his character. But he's always,
Yes.
he's a lovable ass. But Silver's just like, let me take his ring and chuck him out the airlock. We'll say it was an accident. He's just like, he wants to murder Guy. He says, and John's like, okay, Guy's a little much, but he's a good lantern. And Silver's like, but is he really? You guys got like 6 for Earth, which is also very valid.
He got 6 for Earth. If you lose one, who's gonna notice?
I mean, I think you got Hal, Kyle, Guy, John, Simon, and Jessica. And it's like, they're supposed to cover a sector. Do you really need 6 for Earth? Well, with how much Earth gets into shit, you might actually. But their Silver's murder is thwarted by the emergency as Mr. Terrific saying that the Teen Titans have engaged the Hive and that they're on, standby for backup. But Guy says, F that, I'm going to go patrol the Kuiper Belt. Let me know if something really happens. And again, Silver continues to plot his murder of Guy, saying we can pin it on Sinestro or Lobo. Let me tell you, Silver and Lobo would be a treat.
Oh my God. I don't know if he's gonna show up, but I hope he does. I really do.
Oh God, I could think of so many, like Lobo and Omega would be amazing.
Amazing. Oh my, I was thinking of that pair. I was like, who would we pair with Lobo? And immediately I thought Omega would be
Omega's the
a
only one
great
who would
fit.
like destroy. Now John makes the crack that he says he's gonna earn himself a red ring. He's gonna become a Red Lantern if he keeps that up. But Silver, puts his murderous thoughts aside, because he really hasn't had them since Sonic 06. And he asks Cyborg that, well, aren't the Teen Titans his team? And Cyborg, who kind of is DC mandate, has kind of actually graduated now. So he kind of says that he's kind of a liaison between the two teams, but that they have someone down there supervising to help out. And we
Mhm.
learn that Tails was the first person to go through the gates, and we see Cyborg Tail lead the Teen Titans, consisting of Raven, Beast Boy, who is transformed into a Yeti from Lost Hex. Uh, Eagle Eye fans will recognize that. Mimic transformed into that same little Yeti creature in an IDW issue from last year when, during his final battle, Whisper. Starfire is there, but also Blaze is there because, as in the Toy Leaks, Blaze and Starfire are now besties, which, given the fact
Yeah.
that they are both purple fire wielding princesses from other dimensions slash planets, kind of writes itself.
Yes. And it's so funny because I do see the comparison, but she'll get along so much more better with Raven. Not that I wanted that to happen, but it Blaze's personality with Raven seemed to,
Blaze got that more seriousness that would gel with
yeah.
Raven, but it's also one thing, and we, the old saying is, it's not what happened, it's what's remembered. And really, if you think
Yes.
about with the Teen Titans and their history of characters, they really didn't hit the cultural zeitgeist until that first TV show in the early 2000s. And those were very I wouldn't say exaggerated, but they were very cartoony portrayals of the new Teen Titans from the comics. I mean, Raven was never really a goth, though she was more serious, and Starfire was kind of naive, but never comically so, like her cartoon, counterpart. But going back to the issue, Tails leads the attack. Beast Boy transforms back to his normal form and then transforms into Green Tails. So in the
Mm-hmm.
last two DC Sonics, we've had Green Tails and Green Knuckles. We had Green Amy in the Olympics image from a year ago. Of course,
Yeah.
we've had Green Sonic in the form of Scourge. We just need Green Shadow now.
I guess it's the last one, right?
That's one of the big five. But Tails is amused and see if he can actually fly, and Tails begins to fly, but or Beast Boy begins to fly with his tails, but he seems to not be as in the right shape to do it. He says, "How do you do this with lifting people? My back is killing me." He says,
Beast Boy, get in shape. You can change to an elephant. It should be no biggie for you.
"Now this is
But again,
where,
not a lot of animals on Earth have two tails that can fly.
yeah, and obviously if he can transform into one of the Lost Hex Yetis, he can, he can do that."
Yeah, I just think that Beast Boy's just goofing around. He's just seeing what he can do.
Absolutely. Well, here's where this issue kind of took a surprise for me because we find out that normally Brother Blood is, in the control of Hive, and so is the case here. But he
Hmm.
says, "You will not thwart me again, Titan Tails." Archie Sonic fans. Flashbacks to that Titan Tails. But he also says that he's already corrupted one of their heroes, their young warriors, and out pops Charmy Bee in a Hive outfit saying, "Hi, Tails," and "Hi, Blaze." And Blaze is like, "Charmy?"
Like I knew it. I knew it. I always suspected that of him.
Well, she's shocked, and Starfire's like, "Do you know this little one?" And, you know, Blaze explains who Charmy is to Starfire, but so she wants to go. She tells him to cover while she goes talks to Charmy. And then, Blaze is like, "Did Brother Blood bewitch your mind?" And Charmy's like, "He's the club president." And Blaze is like, "What?" It's like, and Charmy's like, "Yeah, Hive is a super cool bug themed club. I'd ask to let you join, but you're a cat, so sorry." And then Blaze
I
is
don't
like,
know, Charmy. That's kind of prejudice, if you ask me.
"I know." A little racist there, Charmy. Okay. But then, so she's like, "The note you sent the Chaotix wasn't." She's like, "Oh, no, I just wanted to let them know where I was so they wouldn't worry. Do they miss me?" And then Blaze is like, "Hive are terrorists." It's like, "Wait, these are the bad guys?" And then he goes off on Brother Blood for tricking him and starts stinging him. And he's like, shh, be gone. And, and Blaze flies down and says, "Excellent job." And, she and Blaze blonde a little bit, talking about their outfits. And, she finds Blaze's outfit very cute. Blaze says she likes her style as well. And, obviously, Blaze is going to get a Starfire outfit.
Hmm.
And then it ends with Raven kind of saying, "Can we please get back to the battle? It's taking this seriously." And Tails kind of chuckles that you're starting to sound like Robin and asks where he is. Now, before we get to that, I did want to mention something because Starfire's had a history of various outfits, some more revealing the others, depending on what this time the series was aimed for. What do you think of this current outfit?
I with I was gonna say Blaze. Starfire's outfit, I understand it has to be less revealing because Blaze has to wear
Yeah.
Starfire's
And again,
outfit,
this
so
is
she can't
more
have
of a
like
all ages book.
yeah, all ages book, even though it says rated T for teen.
Yeah.
But it's listen, you can't have her with the long V neck
Yeah.
uh breasticles out and everything like that. I get it, but I'm not crazy for the outfit. I don't know why. It's not even bad at all.
There's
It
like,
just doesn't scream Starfire to me. Maybe it's just that her hair is braided and I really want it to be out.
and see,
And
that's
I
what
think
I
that'll
was thinking,
complement it a little bit.
because to me there was something off about the fit. Like the fit itself is fine. Like the boots are fine. The
Mhm.
unitard, it still feels Starfire, if even if it's less, risque. But I think the long braid just throws it off because
Yeah.
Starfire has always really had just she's real fan. Well,
Well,
not gonna say real fans, but we love big
old
curly
school
hair.
fans know she has the big long hair. I know in the comics she always had the long hair. Only in the cartoon Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, to a lesser extent, she has the short hair. Well, my shorter hair. She does have long hair, but it's not crazy long or fluffy. But I guess for this one, I don't know if I'm digging the
Well,
braid.
here's actually
That's the
some.
weird
I'm doing
thing.
some little miniature research. Apparently, she's been using this particular outfit since
Hmm.
2024.
Oh, I haven't been reading up on
Yeah,
Starfire
I
for a
mean, neither do I.
while.
I kind of just Googled Starfire, and she's kind of popped up in this particular outfit. But there's some of it,
Okay.
some comic, one shows her with the ponytail, but then another
Hmm.
actually just has her hair long, not put up,
And out.
and it looks great. So
Yeah.
I think it's
I
the
think
ponytail.
I think it's the braided hair because the outfit itself is fine. It's
Yeah.
completely fine. It's just the braid that I'm not digging. And I don't know why. It's like it doesn't look bad. Like it doesn't, but it just bugs me. That's it.
Yeah, I think whether it be kind of that 80s big curvaceous, curly hair or just straight hair, I think she's definitely works better with the flowing hair because apparently, yeah, I guess she's also rocking the braid in current stuff. Apparently, she's been rocking the braid since 23. So obviously, this is Starfire's current getup. It's not exclusive to Sonic X DC or DCxSonic, but eh, we prefer non-braided hair Starfire.
Yeah.
That's our official ruling. Official ruling. But going back, again, they mention where's Robin? Well, apparently he has business in Gotham. So we then turn to the crimson red skies of Gotham. Insert, Batman the animated series, theme song in the background. Na 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 na
So once you
na.
reanimate that with Shadow.
Exactly. Where we see the dynamic duo look up to the sky instead of a bat signal, it's a shadow signal in the sky. And Robin, who, speaking of outfits, I don't really like his current little gray and black getup. Prefer the red
The
and
gray and
green.
black.
Yeah, I think it's Damien trying to be a little too
I'm
edgy.
biased. I'm a Damien fan, so his fit here is fine to me.
Like I like Damien. He is probably like my you know for his time as Robin. He's great, but I like the red and the black and I like his normal like Robin outfit with the hood. But again, that's kind of maybe a
Mhm.
little bit younger, and he's kind of they've obviously kind of DC's kind of at least aged him up a year or two, and he's kind of in his edgy teen period. Though
He's
he was,
always in this edgy period. Like there's never a moment where he's not.
he's never not when he's edgy. But he thinks the shadow signal is dumb and it debases his dad's iconography. So Batman says this will get a
Yeah, he's
dis.
always about like you got to think about your branding.
Yeah, exactly. But Shadow definitely appears and says that once our worlds were reconnected, he came here immediately because he doesn't want any of Gotham's troublemakers entering his world, which is valid.
Yes. You do not want Joker in Green Hill Zone. I'm just saying.
Or Poison Ivy in Grin Hill Zone.
Oh no. I hope that
That
happens
actually
actually.
does sound amazing now that I think about it. Um, yes, let's give us where's speaking of like where's the Harley Quinn and Sonic crew? Let's
Yeah, where's
yeah,
Harley?
exactly. But Robin decides to sass Shadow, saying, "Is he here to lose another Batmobile?" But Shadow shuts him down and says, "Quiet, Robin. If I want proper support and proper and bold, I'll call Red Hood." To which Damon says, "I'll cut you." He's like, "You'll try." Which, let me say something I've been holding on to about these crossovers. Because ultimately, the ones that we get are never going to be the ones that we write up in our heads. So we kind of, I
Yeah.
always tell fans, it's like, give the writer some slack. It's the one in our heads is always going to be better because we all have our little individual head canons and character dynamics. But now that
Hmm.
we know that Shadow prefers Jason to Damian, I need my Jason and Shadow adventures because I just see
Oh my,
I
two of the edgiest
they're gun
edge
buddies.
lords,
They're gun buddies.
gun buddies.
I just the meme of like Batman crying saying don't go to like the
Go.
ghosts of his parents. I just see Jason doing that when Shadow's like, "You're the only one who
Shadow.
understands me."
Don't go.
Uh, I'd also like to see Red Hood Omega because that would be fun too.
Yeah, that would be.
Him and Lobo would be great. But
Yeah, I think him and Lo, they're just too chaotic. I would love to see those two together.
anywho, Batman tells them to focus, and he hands a little manila folder to Shadow, kind of revealing that the League's analysis of the technology is based on boom tubes, that they popped up overnight, and that basically the only way they could have worked is that, if there were help from both sides, and yes, they came from LexCorp, and obviously Dr. Eggman had to be the only one who would work with Lex. So he says, the mad scientists have formed an alliance. And then Damien says, "Oh, congratulations. You're beginning to sound like a detective." And Batman's like, "Robin." Shadow decides he thanks him for the intel, but he says he'll handle things from here. And then, of course, Batman says, "Hey, let's work together." Shadow, of course, being his usual standoffish self, says no. He says, "I'll allied with y'all because Darkseid was a god. Luthor and Eggman are mortal men." And then eventually Batman convinces Shadow to realize that working with a team can, you know, prevents things falling through cracks, and Shadow relents. But Robin says, if you're going to be working on our territory, you need to do it our way. And of course, he's got a little container with Shadow's bat suit. So
Yeah.
he's got to suit
you
up.
gotta you gotta put on the cowl. So that's how it works
Now
here.
we were not giving a Schumacher style suit up scene with Shadow, though I'm sure someone's already drawn that or is currently drawing it as we speak. But the issue ends with the two scientists mentioned earlier
Hmm.
toasting to their luminous extra dimensional energized gateway generator system, aka Lex Egg. Now, Luther says
Clever, Lex and Eggman.
they do mention like Lex says the name Lex Egg is a bit on the nose, but Eggman says it's all part of the plan.
So
It's
he said all part of the plan. It's like, why didn't you say master plan?
exactly.
Oh, I know everyone's always mad at Ian for putting references and stuff in there, but screw that. It was right there.
Though they do have an
Sometimes you
interesting
gotta take the easy
conversation
route.
where Lex is talking about the tolls and tourism packages have already offset the construction costs. Another round of precision marketing, and we can afford to double the number of gateways. And Eggman's like, "What's the point? We already have a monopoly on the industry." He says, "Never pass an opportunity to make money. Honestly, Doctor, would you settle for simply functional?" He says, "Oh, never, my dear Lex. Bigger, better, better. That's my motto. Inspirational words." And so Lex is in, of course, his little battle suit, and they chit
Looks like
chat.
you lost some weight since the last
Yes, I was
encounter.
gonna mention that. Clearly, Lex has gotten Lex Zempic since, or at least or DC told Adam like, we're gonna have to scale him down a bit this time, which I think made more sense. I think this is the better.
I understand why they made him a little paunchy.
Yeah.
It was a nice contrast to Eggman in the last issue. But yeah, him being a little thinner doesn't bother me here.
Yeah. So, Eggman says, it's like, tells Lex to live a little, and what's the point of being superior to your adversaries if you can't revel in it? And Lex, like, once again, inspiring words. And even if those double dose of do-gooders gets out of hand, you've already assembled our countermeasures. And Lex says, yes, indeed. He's hired some professionals, and he welcomes Dr. Eggman to the Legion of Doom. And the issue ends on a page of Sinestro, Cheetah, Gizmo from the Teen Titans, which some people thought was like Timu Dr. Octopus, which took me a while to
Ah,
remember
big
Gizmo.
fans.
Yeah, it took me a while to remember Gizmo from the cartoon. We do see Captain Cold and Black Manta, hater professional, but we also see, and this is something I didn't really quite realize till someone mentioned it, Catwoman is also
Oh, how
there.
did you find her? She is like up in the front too.
I guess it's kind of one of those things where like she's up front, but I think your eyes naturally go to the other characters before you realize
Yeah,
it's
she's
her.
she's I don't think that she's like hidden per se, but she's not. It's weird to say she's prominent and not prominent on
Yeah,
this
she's
page at the
almost
same
in.
time.
It's like when you like the whip and the ears don't immediately stand out because she's also got like a
Yeah.
jacket, which is kind of unique for her. So it's like
Hmm.
you miss her on first glance, but then you realize, oh, it's
Yeah.
Catwoman, which then leads to another question is because one of the character dynamics that you and I had talked about from the first version, the first series of that was a missed opportunity that was, clearly, recognized and remedied for this one in the marketing, is the Catwoman Rouge team up. And, considering
Yeah.
the next issue is treachery, terror, and two teams trapped, I feel like we'll probably see Rouge and, Selena, which again, that would be an amazing miniseries in and of itself.
On its own, just like they had so many good chances and one shots here.
Yeah.
Um, just even just the main three, like let's say we can't make one shots for everyone, not even Rouge per se. I would have loved to see one shot with Shadow Batman, maybe sneaking a little Rouge Catwoman in there. Of course, Superman, my bad. Sonic Flash. I definitely would have killed to see Wonder Woman and Amy on the mascara.
That'd be dope. Again, it's a lot of this. Just like, man, like some of these, one shots or miniseries just
It's
write
like a
themselves.
sampler, except that you don't get to the main course.
See, I made the joke that this is basically, you go to a restaurant, and you want, a nice, you're going with some friends, and you think you're okay. I'm gonna get a nice entree. It's gonna be, I'm gonna get a steak with a demi glaze and some, you know, nice sides, but it's like, oh no, we're just ordering appetizers for like, share family style appetizers, and we'll call it a day. It's like I'm fine with that, but is it gonna fulfill my hunger? I'm
Yes.
like, it's like, I mean, Green Lantern
Like
Silver is
it's
fine.
but I still haven't hit that. I'm still not full. In fact, I'm not even satiated. I need
There's
more.
too much MSG. I want, I want my Shadow Batman. I want my Shadow Red Hood. But I did want to ask you, what do you think
Hmm.
of this lineup of Legion of Doomers? Is it like,
The Legion of Doomers, like you said, if I can remember correctly, there was King Cole, Gizmo, Black Manta. Uh, I guess because we kind of like we had the good the I hate to say this. Did they waste all the good ones in the last one? We had Joker previously. We had all these other villains that showed up as a cameo, really. I was kind of like a little disappointed we didn't get like the Legion of Doom when you think about all the big players. But I'm actually kind of interested to see where it goes. I mean, I haven't seen Gizmo in like whatever.
yeah, like I don't even
Um,
remember Gizmo being in the comics. I'm sure he was in the comics.
I'm sure they kind of probably adapted him, but you're right. It's like, wow, they're gonna really use him. I'm actually, you know what? Why not? Let's see what they do.
And given the
Catwoman, is gonna be a two side betrayal thing.
yeah,
So,
it's like Green Lantern, Sinestro, I get it. Wonder Woman, Cheetah, get it. I mean,
Yeah.
Aquaman, Black Manta, I get it. You know, Sonicing versus Captain Cold, that could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be really fun with the ice, the ice traps,
Nice
or
traps.
whatever he's gonna do to try to stop him. So I think they showed us like the Legion of Doom, but I got a feeling we're gonna see probably a bit more
I
characters
hope so.
play into this.
Blackfire would be a fun addition.
Oh my God, I don't think they're gonna have room for Blackfire, but she would be very cool if Blaze had to deal with her.
Yeah. And with Gizmo, obviously, with Tails being the tech guy, you can have the two tech
Yeah,
guys.
you could see it already. Like Tails is gonna deal with Gizmo immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, you see, and like, it's a pretty standard lineup, but I think, would like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see
Yeah,
Shadow beat up
I'm hoping.
Deathstrike.
I know it's not. You only get 5 issues. I'm hoping there'll be a bit more surprises, and by surprises I mean other bad guy cameos. But it's interesting how like Sonic needs more bad guys like in the games.
Well,
You know?
that's something I want to. Well, I'll send a special shout out to one of our friends of the show, listeners, both here and a couple other discords. Scurvy Pirate Hog, who kind of mentioned like he'd like to see more DC villain Sonic team ups. To which I would say the number of DC villains to Sonic villains is like 10-1. Because really, if
Yeah.
you think about it, like even with the IDWs, like Clutch, Rough and Tumble, no one really cares about.
No one
The
cares.
fact that they showed up doing a deal with Intergang is more than enough. That's plenty.
Yeah.
That's plenty. Um, Again, Starline still technically dead, but who could you pair him up with? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see Sage pop up. Sage and Brainiac would be kind of an interesting duo.
Sage and Brainiac would be very obvious, but also very much needed here
Yeah, like that would be fun.
to make it.
I've seen
Of course, you got Metal Sonic, but I guess that would be
that'd be more like feels like more of a Metallo type thing.
yeah, Metallo.
Yeah, and it's like you know the Deadly Six. We still don't really care much about them, but I
Where's
mean,
Surge? Bring Surge in here. I don't know who she's gonna be paired up with, but she needed to
well,
be in here.
you and I have talked off, in DMs about our frustration with how Sega is handling
Oh,
Surge, where
ah,
they're
let women be evil. If you support women's rights, then you must
support
support women's
women's
wrongs.
wrongs. Yes, I'm. What's one of my little future projects I'm working on? The best Sonic female villains in the franchise, and let me tell you, most of them are not from the games.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like Surge, I think Livewire would be the most obvious. But then it's like the Deadly Six. It's like okay, Zavik Bane, cool. I don't think you could. I mean, you could do Joker Zaz, but I feel like that's kind of low hanging fruit and not even that great.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then of course you'd have to
A great dynamic for them to play off of each other, honestly.
I could see Xena, Poison Ivy, you know,
Hmm.
but again, there's just so much more better characters in the collective franchise that would work. Like again, I've talked about it. If this was done in the Archie days, Knuckles as Superman would hit double because then of course you have his extended families. You could have Enerjack Zod. You could have some form of Doomsday. Like even then, like obviously, Scourge could be Reverse Flash or he could be the Joker.
Yeah.
Like Fiona, Harley, yada yada. I mean, you could go.
We have a lot of really good guy. I'm talking about like after Archie. We have a lot of really like a lot of good guy Sonic characters. A lot of like too many, in fact. That I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but at the same time, yeah, Sonic needs more villains like
And we need
outside of
more
Metal
villains that
and
don't,
Eggman.
that are not
And I'm gonna be
connected to
honest,
Eggman.
I don't think I care that much for Surge, not Surge,
Starline.
uh Starline too. I never cared. I'm so glad he's gone. I was just I meant why am I blanking out her name? The daughter.
Sage.
Sage. Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I like Sage enough, but
Well,
I
see,
like her as a one and done type of concept.
I like her as kind of an extended cast for Eggman. It's just if you play Frontiers, she's not a villain. She's an antagonist at best. Like, because
Hmm.
she's already seen the value of working with Sonic, so it's not like she's not petty. She's not evil. She's logical, and that's kind of like, okay, well, we gotta work with heroes, you know. And she obviously kind of gets along with them well enough. So again, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's one thing to have like an antagonist, but it's like you need some honest to god villains. You need some people
Yeah.
who are unashamedly evil, who don't really need to like justify. I mean, you can have a little bit of a, you know, sympathetic background, sure. It's one of the
Sure, but
reasons why.
sometimes there are just people who are just downright nasty, and
Exactly.
that's what I kind of really need in
You
the
know who I
Sonic
want, and I
universe.
saw this render, and I'm saying this because technically this they've brought this character back. I want Deathstroke Infinite
Oh,
because he's got the
that's
one eye, he's
really
got the
good.
mask. They brought Infinite back
Mm-hmm.
in the Chaotix case files. He's the
Mm-hmm.
mercenary. That's a duo that needs to. You know,
That's a duo. That's
that
a good team up. And don't redeem Infinite, please. Stop
no,
it.
no, he's you know they pretty much put him firmly back in the villain category in the Chaotix case files. So yeah,
Good.
you know it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
that's the one thing I think lacking, especially in the IDW universe, is in the games too. It's like every time I feel like they're not afraid, but they're not really thinking about more villains. Like you have a huge cast of good guy characters. Like you need a Team Dark, but for real this time.
and it's like, you know, they dabbled in with bringing, you know, Mephiles back in Sonic X Shadow Generations, and again
Yeah.
he's a different level of villainy, but so many people loved seeing him again because he was just that, you know, he has a presence that, you know, and again, you look at some of, you know, a lot of Sega's attempts at villains or antagonists are one and dones. Razor Jin,
Hmm.
Merlina from the storybook games. And again, it's just like, or they're Eggman, or they're redeemed, or whatever.
Yeah. Like you have like I hate to harp on this again, but I'm thinking like it's not like it's hard to think of new villains because your cast of critters are that they're animals. So you can think of other just pull an animal out of the toy box and try to think of some weird unique game powers like game dev powers or whatever, not game dev, like gameplay powers, and then write a character around it. It's like working backwards in a way. It's like how does this character work in a game if he was a boss character? That's why I like the Eggman. Remember the Eggman dozen from
Yeah,
post reboot RJ?
exactly. You know, the egg bosses are, you
Perfect.
know, the
They were
egg
just
bosses
like
slash egg legion because he had them in
the Egg
both.
Legion, yeah.
You know,
That was fun because can visualize each of the egg dozen as like bosses to like a level or something. You had Thunderbolt, who was the tiny little electric rat, basically. Not Pikachu. But you had
she was a
all
chinchilla.
these characters with different abilities. The squid, I can't remember
Abyss
all
the
their names, but
squid.
just
Obviously,
bear
you
with
had
me.
Conquering Storm the Lynx. She's another.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a character who you could have done a lot. You know, who honestly would have been a great Espio villain. Oh, they do. They
Hmm.
did. You know, they did create Enigma in the. You know, Daniel Barnes did create Enigma in the Chaotic special, but that's still just one character. You know, one character appearance, but
That I hope to see more of in the future.
yeah, she looks great. But again, it's like when Sega tries to do it, Dudley Six, you get a bunch of like, and again, it's because Lost Lost World was essentially a Mario game, and you know, it's like,
Pretty much.
yeah, we got the Koopalings, but weird little Oni. Though I forget who said it had a great idea of like if they were to bring Naugus into the thing, like making Naugus a Zeddy, would actually kind of make sense because he's kind of got that troll weird thing
Yeah, just
going.
make it more colorful and bam, redesign. It works.
There's a lot of things that would be really great if
Come on, Sega. Like, stop this pussyfooting around and give us
you
some
know
villains.
I know it'll never happen because why bother? If I was Sega,
I
I
know.
wouldn't do it either. But just
Everyone keeps saying, well, if I was at Sega, I was like, no, you won't.
yeah, no.
Because they have mandates that will choke you shorter than a dog
But
leash.
that's the thing is, I would literally cut it, cut a check to Penders for like 30 grand, and just say we're buying the rights because, god dang it, I need Liandar back. She is perfectly evil. There's nothing redeeming about her. She's power hungry. It's fun to see her get her comeuppance. She's a perfect bad guy. Or if they
Yeah.
don't want to
I
do
need I
that,
need more bad guys like that. Just like
bring back Breezy.
irredeemable characters. Yeah. I don't need maybe sad backstories for one or two. But some people are just assholes.
Yeah, they're assholes. They're power hungry. They want it all, and they don't care who
Exactly.
they step on to get it. That's our TED talk regarding Sonic villains, both male and
Yeah.
female. But all in all, I enjoyed this issue. I think again, there's a lot of. It was good that they kind of jumped in and got like the reconnections done and over with. So now we can kind of
Yeah.
like they've been pretty tight-lipped with the solicits for what the end of this story is going to be. Now, if you
I
have
guess
paid
just the
attention,
cover might spoil it.
yeah, like
So they're more hyper aware about that.
one of the covers for 3 kind of gives some hint away, and obviously the name is Metal Legion, and that kind of is self-explanatory in one aspect. But
Yeah.
I'm really curious what Lex and Eggman's endgame is for this, because I don't feel like this is
Take over
going.
the
I mean,
world.
obviously take over the world, but it's like how they're going to
Worlds,
get
plural.
there.
Ah, sorry about that.
Yeah, and I also don't see like this doesn't feel like the end, even though like maybe like I've heard rumors of a possible Sonic Central next month that may be like an hour long. Again,
Mm-hmm.
rumors take with a margarita glass of salt. You know, don't believe anything till you see them like actually announce it. But
Yeah.
like I feel like this Sega, DC partnership is going pretty strong, and with all the real world Warner Paramount shenanigans, we're not going to get into a whole lot of that. The fact that,
Yeah.
because obviously Sega's been working with Paramount for the movies, and, a lot of the same bosses and, same company interactions,
Yeah.
it feels like this is something that they can continue on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the fact that they're going to do the Sonic Godzilla crossover means that Sega is open to doing more crossovers, though I'm curious to see. I mean, I'm sure they got some more lined up. I know a lot of people are harping for a Sonic Ninja Turtles crossover, which feels like it's going to happen sooner or later.
Feels like it. Yeah.
Though my money, I'd want more of a Sonic Power Rangers crossover because those
That
toys
would
would
be
sell like
kind of
hotcakes.
that would be cooler. I'm not gonna lie.
I just think like if you think about it,
Nothing wrong against my turtles.
exactly.
But if I had to choose, I would definitely have gone with the Power Rangers.
It's just like if you think about it, Sega's obviously a Japanese company. Power Rangers and Godzilla, they're both Japanese tokusatsu. I mean, Power Rangers, you know, its DNA goes back to Godzilla, all intents and purposes. That's a whole video in and of itself. But again, it's like it feels like those ideas would blend better with the Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you think of like if you have Sonic Power Ranger toys and how those would sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just there's a monetary gain to be made. There's merchandise to sell. But that's all I got. Do you have any other final thoughts?
It's the first issue, so those was my first impressions. I enjoyed it. I think the small moments like Supergirl and Cream really was the highlight. A lot of it is it's weird to say setup because you kind of you don't know what they're planning, so but you know that they're working together to do nefarious things, Eggman and Lex. But it was nice to see these small interactions again. You get like little nuggets of things that you really enjoy, like Shadow knowing who Jason Todd is, and Amy and Wonder Woman just being cute. Other than that, it was I still have to lower the score, like metaphorically speaking, lower than the first issue, the first last crossover, because that one was just like that was just fun in terms of I can't believe that I think they're gonna make this work kind of feeling. This one is like, okay, I know you guys can make this work, but now I'm curious to see where you go with the second half.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where I think a lot of people are more excited for the offhanded adventures that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
That would be great in in miniseries or one shots. Maybe we'll get something down the line. I feel pretty confident they're probably going to do a third one, just because it's like there's a lot of positive buzz for these, and obviously
Yeah.
they've
They
invested a
need
lot of
to just make
merchandise.
one shots, like do 5 issue one shots of stories we didn't get to see. That's all we're asking for. That'll still sell, I think.
I mean, it'll all sell well, but again,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Sega's kind of, you know, it's Sega, and
Sega's gonna be Sega on this. Yeah.
I do hope we get some animated adaptations of this. I still think that would be the
That would be really cool. It's like a never say never, so I'm not like maybe 5 years ago I'd be like, yeah, right, like we're gonna get that. But now I'm like, it's possible. It's like 50-50.
it's very much it's not out of the realm of possibility, but still kind
Yeah.
of in the we'll see how things pan out. But it's still like it could happen.
Yeah.
Well, with all that said, Chauvel, plug us away. How can we find you?
Right.
Where can we find you?
Plug, so, shameless plug. I right now I'm only active on Blue Sky. I'm just gonna plug my safe work. Obviously, this is a safe work podcast, kind of. So,
For
my
the
Blue
most
Sky
part.
is Chevelle. So it's what's it? It's Blue Sky. It's Chevelle.bluesky, bsky.social. And if you want to know how to spell that, in case you're just only listening, Chauvel on Blue Sky. I'm not on Twitter, so don't
You
bother.
broke free.
Uh, I'm going to open up a YouTube, another. I have a YouTube channel with same name, but I'll be doing most of my Sonic projects on another YouTube channel. When that launches, I'll let people know what that is.
Speaking of that, when can we
hmm
expect Sally's delivery service?
Oh, so Sally's Delivery Service is well, it's just about the animation. The animation is done. The voice acting, it's all recorded. The only problem is my audio editor is having PC issues, and unfortunately, he has to start from scratch again because his computer crashed trying to do
Oof.
half the audio editing of the audio for some reason. Very old computer he's working on, I think. So he'll let me know in about a week if he can or cannot do the audio editing. If it's not feasible, I'll find someone else. I'll probably put a little like wanted ad or something on Blue Sky looking for audio editors, not composers. I can't afford composers. We're just using music that won't get us, copyright banned on YouTube.
No. Well, definitely, we need to have you back with Radri for when that debuts, and we can,
Yeah,
record
I'm
a
really excited. The
behind the
animation's
scenes behind the
about
behind the
9 minutes?
acorns.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. It's about 8 to 9 minutes long. And I only say that because we're just putting a little logo in the front of it. So it's already up to like 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So I'm guessing it'll probably be a solid 9 minutes, but I'm looking forward to releasing that when it's ready.
It's been a labor of love, and I know you've been working on it for a long time. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see because I've seen it through its development process, and I'm waiting to
Hmm.
see everything all come together.
Oh yeah. It's very cozy because I've been watching it again as full, even without music. And it's like, wow, this is a lot cozier than I thought. And I kind of really like that. I kind of really dig that part of it. So I can't wait to show everyone what it's about and I hope everyone likes it.
Awesome. Well, for the rest of us here at Sonic Coast's Coast to Coast, you can follow us on Twitter. We're still there, unfortunately. We are on Blue Sky. You can follow us on Tumblr. Tumblr links to our Discord are on both Twitter and Blue Sky. Come on and hang out with us, chit chat with us. Um, Again, please do check out our interview with Nick Marino, the writer of the upcoming Sonic X Godzilla crossover. He's a really great guy. If you've been following that, uh, IDW is really giving that the full court press. They've basically released review copies to their usual review people, even 2 months
Oh, they didn't
out.
give you guys any?
I didn't get it. I'm not high enough on their list yet. I know the Game Apologist got his, and he got his review out already. But yeah, I'm really excited. Having gotten to know Nick and kind of considering him more than acquaintance, kind of in the friend realm. It's like excited, that
Oh.
he's getting all this, attention and praise. Having the old Reggie and Jackson on the art for it. It seems like there's a lot of pages that are already out on the internet from preview sites, and the dialogue's great, the expressions are great. It really looks to be a fun time, and I hope we get more because, again, Godzilla will always be number one, and to see 1 and 2 or
You
one.
must be eating
Let
good
me tell
with all
you,
this
like
Godzilla stuff.
when we got the Sonic Rumble announcement in December, I got like a zillion pings on Discord on the Bumble chats because they all know I was excited, and I was like, "Oh God, this is amazing!" And then the end of February when they announced the comic, I'm like, "Well, I've it was it was one of those things where it's like, well, they've already done it in the games. It's only a matter of time, and it's to learn that Nick's been working on this idea since like 2022, that this has been several years in the making through different iterations. I'm really happy. It's again, if you could send this back to me in the 90s, 4-year-old me in 93, I'd be over the moon. But yeah, so check out that. We're still working on our Sonic X reviews. We've kind of lost a little bit of steam on that just because not really getting the numbers that we wanted, nor that we really care about Sonic X to begin with. It's hard not to do something that's kind of more, and especially with real life, getting in the way and various things. I was off in California,
Understandable.
dog sitting and house sitting, and then all that jazz. But again, thank you everyone for staying tuned. We'll have some links to some of our other videos in the end. And again, Chauvel, anytime you want to come hang out with us, you're more than welcome to. Do you want to do what we did last time and do a kind of a final recap toward the end, or do
Oh, when
you?
all the issues are out? Yeah, I would love to
Yeah, I
because
was
I'm
gonna
gonna be
say doing it month to
keeping up on
month
this.
kind of is it. That's fine, but I think it gives us more to talk
Oops.
about if we do kind of a ending one.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
for sure.
till then, coasters, we'll stomp you later.
Later.